Welcome back, friends. Today we are going to continue learning our new division strategies. Yesterday we learned the strategies for division, equal shares as it relates to equal groups and multiplication. And we also learned repeated subtraction and how that relates to repeated addition. And remember, multiplication and division are inverse equations. That means when we multiply, we are combining things equally, and when we are dividing, we are sharing things equally. So we talked a little bit yesterday about our new vocabulary words. We learned that this big number that our division problem starts with is called the dividend. The number of equal shares, our circles we would draw, is our divisor. And then our answer for a division problem is called our quotient. So we're going to be using those words again today as we talk about our two new strategies. So the first strategy we're going to talk about is an array. So we learned in multiplication the way that we can use an array to solve a multiplication equation is we take our first number, the 3, and we know that we need to draw 3 rows with those horizontal lines. The next thing we do is we take our second number, the 5, and we know that we need to draw 5 columns, and those are our vertical lines. The last thing we do is we draw some circles where those lines intersect, and then we count them all up, and that gets our product of 15 for 3 times 5. So our array for division is going to work in a very similar way. It's got the exact same name, so we're going to just go ahead and write array again. We're still going to be using our rows and columns. We're just going to be doing it in a little bit different of an order. So an array is a lot like our equal shares. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to draw our rows. And the way we determine our rows is we look at our divisor. So if you remember when we did equal shares, we knew that since our divisor was 3, we were going to be sharing 3 equal shares. So we had to draw 3 equal circles. We're going to do that same idea for array. So since our divisor is 3, I'm going to draw 3 rows, and I'm going to do that the same exact way that I've been doing that with my 3 horizontal lines. Now here's where things get a little different. Since I don't know what my quotient is yet, I'm going to go back to my dividend. I know that I have to share this number, 15, equally among these 3 rows. So I'm going to start making my columns knowing that I have to count all the way to that dividend, which is 15. So it's a little bit like the you get one, you get one, you get one strategy, but this time I'm going to be playing that game and putting them into their rows. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3. So each row got 1, and I've used all the rows, so that means I'm going to go back up here and I'm going to keep going. And remember, I'm counting out loud because I know that I'm counting to that dividend 15. So I'm at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So now I know I have to stop because I got to 15. Notice, boys and girls, that when I drew my circles, I tried to keep them nice and neat because the way I'm going to determine my answer, my quotient, is I'm then going to go ahead and draw those vertical lines through, and that's going to determine my answer. So I'm going to count my columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now I know that my quotient, because I drew my 3 rows and I counted up to 15, sharing equally, I know that I had to draw 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 columns, which is going to give me my quotient of 5. So we're gonna pause and we're gonna take this opportunity to practice solving a couple of equations using our division arrays. The next strategy that we have is our number line. So if you remember number lines for multiplication, we had some little hops. So I went ahead and I did both versions of our equation because I want to show you what that looks like in division. So if I have 3 times 5 equals 15, I know that I usually take my first factor and those are my numbers of hops. So if I have 3 as my first factor, then I did 1 hop, 2 hop, 3 hops, and I know that each hop is me adding 5. So my little frog is jumping 5, and then another 5, and then another 5. So I'm basically skip counting 5, 10, 15. 3 hops of 5 gives me the answer 15. Now if I think about commutative property, which we've been talking a lot about, I know that if I take those factors and I flip them around or switch them around, that I'm also going to get the same product. So let's see what that would look like on a number line. So if I take this first factor, which is 5, that means I now need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hops, and this time my hops are going to be adding 3 each time. So I'm hopping plus 3, plus 3, plus 3, plus 3, plus 3, which is skip counting by 3, so I get 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So now 5 hops of 3 also gets me the same product of 15. So how are we going to use the idea of number lines to solve some division equations? The first thing we're going to do is we're going to write number line. The name of the strategy still remains the same. And then I already have 2 number lines drawn because I'm going to show you how to solve the equation 2 different ways. So the first way I'm going to do it is with our equation we have at the top, which is 15 divided by 3. So when I'm doing a number line for division, I have to start in a different place. So when I do a number line for multiplication, I've learned that I always have to start at 0. So when I'm doing division, I kind of have to think going backwards. So if you think back to our repeated subtraction, I started subtracting on 15 and I had to work backwards. So this strategy is very much related to this strategy. So instead of starting on this side of the number line, we're going to start at this side of the number line and we're going to start on 15. Now that number is going to change depending on what your dividend is or what that first number in your equation is. But for our equation today, we're starting on 15 because of that dividend right there. So now that I know that I'm starting at the end of my number line and working backwards, the next thing I have to figure out is what are my jumps going to be. So this time I'm not going to worry about how many jumps I'm going to do. I just want to know what I'm jumping by. So I'm going to look at that divisor, and that divisor tells me that I need to do jumps of 3. But this time, because I'm going backwards, instead of adding, I am subtracting. So I'm going to do it 1 jump at a time. So if I know if I go backwards 3, that's minus 3. 15 minus 3 is 12. And I know that I need to keep going just like I did with repeated subtraction until I get to 0. So now I'm going to do another hop backwards, another minus 3. 12 minus 3 is, that's right, it's 9. So I need to keep going. Another hop going backwards, minus 3. 9 minus 3 is 6. Another hop, minus 3. 6 minus 3 is 3, and then another hop minus 3 is 3 minus 3. That's right, it's 0. That means I get to stop because I got to 0. So how do I use this number line to help determine my answer for 15 divided by 3? So the way I use this number line to determine my answer is I count my hops. How many hops of 3 did I have to do to get to 0? So let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can even label them if that helps you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I know 15 divided by 3 equals 5. So just like I did over here, I want to show you what it would look like if I had the reverse. What if I had 15 divided by 5? What would that look like on a number line? So I would start the exact same way. I know that I need to start on this number, my dividend, and I know that I need to start at the end of my number line. So I'm going to go ahead and put 15 on the end of my number line again. This time, the difference is, now instead of doing jumps of 3, I'm jumping backwards by 5. And that might be a little bit easier because I am really good at skip counting by 5s at this point. So I'm going to do a jump. I know I'm going backwards, so I'm going to subtract 5. I know that 15 minus 5 is 10. Good job. So I know I have to keep going until I get to 0. So here I go. I'm going to do another jump backwards, subtracting 5. 10 minus 5 is 5. And then I'm going to do another jump, subtract 5. 5 minus 5 is 0. So that means I get to stop. And just like up here, how am I going to determine what my answer is? Do you remember? That's right, I'm going to count my hops. So I had 1 hop, 2 hops, 3 hops. So I know my quotient for 15 divided by 5 is, it's 3. So let's make a connection. So here I had 15 divided by 3 equals 5, and here I had 15 divided by 5 equals 3. Notice those two numbers just flipped. They switched. I have the same 3 numbers in my equation here, and I have those same 3 numbers in my equation here. So we have a fact family. The fact family 3 times 5 equals 15, 5 times 3 equals 15, 15 divided by 3 equals 5, and 15 divided by 5 equals 3. That's our entire fact family for 3, 5, and 15. So now that you know how to use a number line for division, you're going to take a little bit of time and practice solving some division equations using your number line.